Assalamu alaikum everybody, this is your Arabic teacher Sam and a very warm welcome back to the Arabic with Sam channel. We're carrying on with the playlist, walking through the story of Prophet Hud alayhi salam in the story of Qasas al-Nabiyyin, in the Qasas al-Nabiyyin book. So we're in lesson 5 right now, this kind of teardrop number, that's the number 5 in the Arabic numerals. And actually it's only now when we actually meet the Prophet Hud alayhi salam. We've been talking mostly about the tribe which he is from, who are called Ad. So now is the first time we actually meet him. So we see Hudun ar-Rasulu, Hud the messenger. Ar-Rasul is different to the word Nabi. A Nabi is a prophet, Nabi, and then there's a Rasul, which is a messenger. Rasulun and Nabiyun. Nabi meaning a prophet, Rasul meaning a messenger. All Rasuls, all Rasul is the plural, Rasul. All Rasul are Anbiya. There's two plurals, by the way, for Nabi. A prophet, and Nabi. The plural can be Anbiya or it can be Nabiyuna. We have this una on the end. All prophets are messengers, but not all messengers are prophets. For example, like Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salam, he's not a messenger. He doesn't have a message, doesn't have a book that he came with. That's not the only difference. There is a whole topic of study. There's a whole, as I say, topic of study in the Sharia around what exactly is the difference between a Nabi and a Rasul. But anyway, so Hud here, I actually didn't realise this, but Hud is a Rasul in this case. I thought that he was just a Nabi, but he must have come with a scripture or an update to the Sharia of some sort. So Hud the messenger. وَأَرَادَ اللَّهُ أَنْ يُرْسِلَ إِلَى عَادٍ رَسُولًا. So وَأَرَادَ. Arada is a form 4 verb meaning to want. So, wanted Allahu, we know that it's Allah who's doing the wanting because of the Dhamma. He wanted that yursila. Yursila comes from the verb arsala, which means to send someone else. It doesn't mean to be sent, it means to send someone else. Often this kind of form, which we call form 4 with the alif at the beginning, is kind of the doing to someone else of something. The verb rasala would mean to be sent. But arsala is to send someone else or send something else. So Allah wanted to send. And it has a fatha on the end because of an. An is one of inna and her sisters, which means that the ism of inna is mansoob, which means it has a fatha on the end basically. Ila adin, to the people of Ad. That's why there's a kasra on the end because of the preposition. It wanted to send to them a what? A rasul. It wanted to send to them a messenger. This is the maf'ulun bihi, or the object of the subject, or the object of the sentence, which is why it has fathahs on the end. So Allah wanted that He sends to Ad a messenger. Inna Allah, Inna is obviously one of Inna and her sisters, as is N. So that's why the Allah has a fathah here. Inna Allah la yarda li'ibadihi al-kufra. So, la yarda, the verb radiya, means to be pleased with. Allah is not pleased with. Li'ibadihi, He's not pleased to His servants, al-kufr, of kufr. So I suppose, I had a discussion with one of my students about this the other day, about how they're His servants if they do kufr. But I suppose all of creation is Allah's servant in a way. Just some of us are willing servants and some of us are not. So Allah was not pleased with His servants who do kufr. لِعِبَادِهِ الْكُفْرِ Inna Allah la yuhibbu. Indeed Allah does not love. La yuhibbu al-fasad. Al-fasad is corruption. Fasad. Again, so we do actually see this verb later. We actually see the verb fasada, which means to become corrupted. But to corrupt someone else is to afsada something. That was kind of what I talked about with rasala and arsala. Rasala means to be sent. Fasada means to be corrupted. Afsada means to corrupt someone else or to corrupt something else. Arsala means to send something else. So Allah does not love corruption fil ard, in the earth. The podcast that I just recorded, by the way, this week's podcast, it will have gone out on Monday. You'll be seeing this on Wednesday. So go to my podcast, inshallah, any of your favourite podcast apps, and go and listen to it. I've done an episode on English words that come from Arabic, and I talk about how our English word earth actually comes, or maybe comes from the Arabic word ard, earth, ard, how they're kind of similar, and perhaps the English word comes from the Arabic. Okay, good. So let's carry on to the next paragraph, inshallah. وَكَانَ عَادٌ. عاد, they لا يستعملون. This verb استعمل means to use. Those of you who speak Somali will recognise this word استعمل. In Somali, they use this term استعمال. This is just a little side note, by the way. Isti'mal written like that. You say like wahan isti'malaya. Those of you who speak Somali, like if you want to say like I'm using a pen, qalin kawan isti'malaya. That they say that in Somali. But anyway, so the Somali word comes from the Arabic one here. Yasta'mala means to use. So Aad did not use uqulahum. They did not use their, what's happened to my pen? Anyway, so over here, just while I try to figure this out, it's gone blue. Their uqul, as you can see over here, is like their intellects. Your aql is your intellect. The plural is uqul. They did not use their uqulahum. They did not use their intellects. Illa fil akl, except in akl. I think we talked about this in the previous lesson, where in Arabic you can use a negative and then say except to create the meaning only. So here, rather than the author saying they only use their intellect, for eating and drinking and playing and chatting, rather than saying that, they said they do not use their intellect except for al-akl, eating, wa-shurb, and drinking, wa-lahu, and chatting, wa-la'ib, and playing, wa-bina' il-buyut, and building il-buyut, the building of houses. This is an idafa that's going on here. Nice. So, good. So we actually see this verb here. I mentioned this earlier with the word fasad. وَقَدْ فَسَدَتْ عُقُولُهُمْ. So their uqul, their minds, their intellect, became corrupted. This verb fasada is the same root as the word fasad that we saw earlier, meaning corruption. So their intellect became corrupted. Why? لِأَنَّ. This bit لِأَنَّ means because. And then this hum is like they. Because they لا يستعملونها, because they did not use it. This ha is referring back to the uqul. That's a little bit funny, really, because we talk about describing things in the feminine singular. This means her, actually. It's like saying because they did not use her meaning their intellects. And when we talk about non-human plurals, we talk about them being غير عاقل. But we're literally talking about the aql here. But regardless, your minds technically are not humans. Your mind itself is not a human, or is not conscious in and of itself. It's only conscious if it's in a human, I guess. But yeah, their minds became corrupted because they did not use her, because they did not use their minds, basically, fiddin, in the religion. They didn't use their minds for the sake of the religion. They used them for the sake of other things. And that's why their minds became corrupted. وَكَانَ عَادٌ عُقَلَاءَ فِي الدُّنْيَا. Aad they were عُقَلَاءَ. They were intelligent people. They were people of aql. فِي الدُّنْيَا أَغْبِيَاء فِي الدِّينِ. We've seen this expression already. We've seen عُقَلَاء, they're intelligent فِي الدُّنْيا. أَغْبِيَاء, they're stupid فِي الدِّينِ. يَعْبُدُونَ الْحِجَارَةِ وَلَا يَعْقِلُونَ. They worship al-hijara, they worship stone. وَلَا يَعْقِلُونَ. And they don't sort of ponder it, they don't use their intellect over it. وَلَا يَعْقِلُونَ. Very nice. وَأَرَادَ اللَّهُ أَنْ يَكُونَ هَذَا الرَّسُولُ مِنْ أَنفُسِهِمْ يَعْرَفُونَهُ وَيَفْهَمُونَ كَلَامَهُ. So Allah wanted, أَرَادَ اللَّهُ أن يكون, to be. Allah wanted that he is هذه الرسول, this prophet. So Allah wanted that this prophet is من أنفسهم, is from أنفسهم. So the him is saying them. Anfus is the plural of nafs. Nafsun means a self. So anfus means selves. So it's like from themselves, from their own community it means. Yeah, I mean anfusihim. If the word nafs means a soul, then the plural is nufus. Sometimes words that can have multiple meanings, their multiple meanings have multiple different plurals to reflect that. I've heard in the Quran, وَإِذَا النُّفُوسُ زُوِّجَتْ. In nufus, when the souls are paired together, Allah says in the Quran. But when it's like a self, I more often see this term anfus to mean themselves, anfusihim, themselves. So yeah, Allah wanted that this prophet would be from among themselves, from among Ad. Allah says in Surah Ibrahim as well that Allah sends prophets speaking the languages of their people to, obviously, if Allah wants to convey Islam to people, He will send them prophets who speak their languages. So so obviously Ad would speak, obviously the Prophet Hud alayhi salam could speak the language of the people of Ad. He was from among them. So that's what Allah says, يَعْرِفُونَهُ. They know him. The who on the end is him. They know him. وَيَفْهَمُونَ. And they understand. This is from the verb فَهِمَ, meaning to understand. يَعْرِفُونَ is from the verb عَرَفَ, meaning to know. They know him and they understand. What do they understand? كَلَامَهُ. So kalam is his speech, and the who is his. And they understand his speech. Good. We got a little bit more. كان هود ذلك الرسول. So Hud was ذلك الرسول. Hud was that. Hud was that. That messenger was Hud. This is quite interesting actually. I quite like this. Let's talk about kana for a minute. So we have our kana, and if you're on my program and and you've done lesson 10, kana has an ism. Kana has a name or a subject or a thing that it's talking about. In this case, it's Hud, and usually it has a dhamma on the end. It's that sort of dhamma case. And then it also has what we call a khabar, or the news, the thing that you're learning about the name. We call this the khabar. Khabar means news, literally. And it usually has fathas on the end. So, we have kana, and we have the ism of kana, which is Hudun, and then we have a dhalika in here. We have that. And so sometimes that can confuse people, because all of this is the khabar. That prophet, the meaning of that messenger, all of that is the khabar. The khabar doesn't have to be just one word. Khabar doesn't have to just be one word. And the dhalika doesn't have a fatha because it's the khabar. Dhalika just always has a fatha. Even if it was a different case, you'd never have dhaliku or dhaliki. You never have that. It's what you call mibni. It's built upon having a fatha on the end. So that's it. But regardless, the whole thing is the khabar. ذَلِكَ الرَّسُولَ is the khabar. So the meaning that we're talking about is Hud was that messenger. Hud was that messenger. وُلِدَ فِي بَيْتٍ شَرِيفٍ. Wulida means to be born. So he was born. في بيت شريف, in a house. Sharif, I suppose a good translation is noble. In a noble house. في عاد. In the people of Ad, in the tribe of Ad. He was born in a noble house in the tribe of Ad. وَنَّشَأَ عَلَى عَقْلٍ وَصَلَاحٍ. Okay. And he was built, and nasha'a kind of means to grow up. The term insha is like composition, to be brought together, to be brought up, or to I don't know, maybe in some cases it means to mature. But he was he was kind of matured upon aql. Upon aql, and and that he is salih, he is sort of upright and just. So so that's everything. We learn quite a lot about Hud alayhi salam in this case. This is the first time we meet him, even though it's lesson 5. We've already done 4 whole chapters talking about the people of Ad, and we're finally coming to talking about actually who Hud is. He comes from a good family, He comes from like a noble house. He is a prophet from among them, and he speaks their language. Good. So I hope that's a useful little bit of insight, a little bit of breakdown of the language that's actually used here. I did I included a little bit of Somali in there as well. This is the wrong channel for that. I have another channel where I talk about me learning Somali, but but this is the wrong channel for that. So apologies for that if that was boring. But yeah, that's it for today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, as always, don't forget to like and share the video, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you are interested in coming on board on the Arabic in 60 Steps program, then there's still spaces, and I'd love to have you on board. Just check out the links in the description below, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.